What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Made You a Mixtape podcast. I'm your host, Jason. Hope you're doing well. Now, truth be told, one of my favorite bands of all time is Anthrax. And when I found out that there is a Scottish Anthrax tribute band, I had to reach out. And lo and behold, joining me today is Allan McGlynn from Arranthrax. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too badly. Arranthrax, Scotland's only Anthrax tribute band. Allan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Cheers, Jason. I'm fine. Trust me, never butchered it, but we can butcher it.
Well, I apologize in advance to everyone in Scotland who's listening to this now. I'm Canadian. I apologize a lot, so I'm sorry. Just consider that a blanket statement for anything I'm about to mispronounce. Now, let's talk about Arranthrax. How did you guys come up with the idea of putting together an Anthrax tribute band?
It was my brother's idea. We used to be in bands for... Don't want to tell you how long ago, it'll make me feel old. We used to be in bands, and one night I got a call from my brother saying, you fancy going to the studio and doing a couple of Anthrax tunes? I went, aye, what's the thing? He had a mate that's in a Scottish Metallica tribute band called Mixtape, and they want to do a V4 tribute, and there's not another Anthrax band in the UK or Europe he could find. So my brother goes, I'll do one for you. So he phones me and I said, you sure? It's been years since we played. Oh, no, I think it'll be a laugh. I went, okay. I went, you'll need to get Paul, our old drummer. He goes, he's no playing drums. We've tried to get him in bands. He's, no, I'm not interested. And about an hour later, I get a text saying, right, we're in the studio next week. I'm like, bloody hell, that was quick. So we went in the studio. Our first 3 songs that we started off easy. I think it was Madhouse, Room for One More, and Only. We started off easy. I've not played guitar at that point for 15 years, and playing like a couple of chords on acoustic to playing thrash metal is a really big jump in a week. So we started off them, and then we got a bass player, Richard Collins. He left, just obviously family things, etc. And we got my mate Greg, who's actually a guitar player but loves Anthrax, so he plays the bass now. But we auditioned for a singer, and we had a singer phoned up, said, I'll be interested. And then a day before he was due to come in, he phoned up and goes, are we still on? I went, aye, these are the 3-4 songs that we're doing, we'll see how you do. And he goes, I'm a bit of an Iron Maiden fan. I went, oh, that's good, same kind of metal. Can you not play any Iron Maiden songs? They're like, well, Anthrax tribute band doesn't equal Maiden. There's enough Maiden. We've got a famous Iron Maiden tribute band called Maiden Scotland. They've been playing for 25, 30 years. They're ingrained into the tribute scene. So we just said to him, forget it. And then we got another advert, a guy called Scott. He was in a band that I heard in the circuit when we were playing called 15 Times Dead, and they supported basically, I can't remember the big bands they supported. They played the O2 and they went on a new wave of British heavy metal. So Scott came in and we kicked it off. That was in 2018, April. And we thought we'd do like 1-2 gigs and that's it, the V4. And now it's the year 2021 and we're still doing it. And I'm actually quite glad. It's been a very expensive hobby. So all came for somebody wanting to do a V4 tribute. We're doing another one next year, this time in Glasgow. The first one was in Edinburgh. And everybody's up for it, especially with COVID and gigs coming back. I think we're not going to have a problem selling it out well in advance this time, which is pretty good. The first one was packed, so this should be even more packed.
I was about to say, with gigs coming back, and I know what it's like here, here in Canada, and slowly but surely, hopefully getting live music back. How has it been in Scotland as far as getting the band together and getting those shows, then all of a sudden having to shut everything down, and now kind of getting back out there and getting back on stage in front of the crowds?
With Scotland's differ from England and Wales and Northern Ireland. Well, England opened up quicker than what Scotland did. but we could go into the studio, and as long as there wasn't more than 3-4 households. So even if we went in without the singer, we would get all the backing stuff done. The singer would just easily come in once he was allowed. Now, it stopped and started. It came back in July 2020, and we were gearing up. We were meant to play 2 festivals, maybe 3 tribute festivals. And we got in there, then it came back. We went back down to lockdown. Oh, God. So that took us right up to December, January, where they started easing off. And we got the tribute festival saying, are you still up for doing it? We went, of course. So we'd done 4 weeks rehearsal before playing Festwich, which was absolutely brilliant. I've never been into tributes before. I've been in bands, I've promote bands, and I've always stayed away from covers and tributes. But it's different with me being in one because I'm having a ball. So we done that, and there was already bands that we already knew we played with, like Megadeth UK. They actually supported Megadeth, I believe, in one of the London dates. I think even Dave Mustaine joined them on a stage, and there was another Metallica band from down south we were speaking to, a 5-piece Slayer tribute, which was weird to see the singer look like somebody from System of a Down, but it was really good. They were called South of Heaven, and they're based in London. So we went up. This was our first big gig back, and it was about 2,000 packed down. We're playing the tent, and after the first couple of chords, it's the usual jitters. First gig back, rather than like a wee 40 or 20 people, it's like 2,000 in a tent, and they've all got like the long hair, and they're just staring at you. Oh my God. So we've got a wee intro tape. It's the same as Anthrax and the Sound of White Noise. We play just to kind of see if the crowd's getting up for it. So as soon as the intro tape finished, we started off with AIR. And as soon as we heard the crowd just shouting it, we kind of went, oh, I think we've got this, lads. And it was just easy. It was brilliant. There was singing back. There was pitting, mosh pits. There was the guy for Guns N' Roses tribute who does Slash and looks very like him, was standing at the front doing this. So the most surrealist moment is a guy called Slash saying, oh, I love that. You're just like, thank you. But as it comes to gigs, you've got gigs coming back now. They're doing, the Scottish Government's authorised Biffy Clyro's doing a massive one in Glasgow Green, but that had to get signed off in the Transmit Festival. But there's still a lot of gigs getting cancelled to next year, and we're finding it's like the older artists, Belinda Carlisle, like that, probably ones that worry more about the vaccine. But the venues are starting to get booked out for gigs. It's getting there. It's got to take another year. And for the price of wearing a mask, I say your local surgeon will wear a mask for 12 hours for 1 hour 90 minutes. I'm sure you can wear a mask, but it's getting there slowly. There's still some gigs that are getting cancelled. With one at Hard Rock Cafe, with a Pantera cover band in October, but Hard Rock Cafe doesn't want to be put in a position. If they do that, then their staff might, because there's still a staffing problem with companies. So it means if one has a cough and gets tested positive, they shut the whole thing down. So some venues, I know music venues like King Tut's, like Hard Rock Cafe, which is a cafe and a music venue, they're a bit more on the cautious side. So they've cancelled all theirs to next year. So it depends on the venue. The more music orientated venue it is, the more they'll do it. But they've all got their safety precautions in. I've never seen as many hand sanitizers in pubs or even the local corner shop in my life. But it's for taking 10 seconds to clean your hands. It's you always get your naysayers that think the man's trying to inject a chip into you for 5G, which is just absolutely laughable. But you get them.
Yeah, I'm kind of shaking my head at the conspiracy theories out there. But, one of the things I found interesting is that, your first gig, as Arranthrax was in late 2018. And earlier in February 2018, Anthrax was in Scotland recording the Kings Among Scotland DVD release. So when you see that, like, it's obvious that Anthrax has a welcome home in Scotland. Do you feel that the Anthrax fandom translates to you guys well, and that they embrace you guys, not just because of Anthrax, but because you're of their own?
Yeah, it's actually quite funny with Anthrax fans. We've never had MD that's been nasty or negative to us, which is always good. But we always get people say, we do John Bush numbers as well as Joey Belladonna's. We don't do as much as John Bush, because on a live scene, you actually get some people come up to you and go, brilliant gig, but too many Bush numbers. You can't win. And when we played the V4, we thought we'd go, right, we'll do something for Volume 8. The light only and Room for One More. So we learned Piss and Vinegar, nice short song, and we played it. And the whole audience was one guy just in at the back, and we were kind of like, right, we're not playing that song again. The Bushes, give or take, I think more or less the more well-knowns, most of Sound of White Noise will go down well. We do What Doesn't Die, that goes down quite well. Fueled, touch and go, depends on the audience, but that is the only kind of, it's not even a negative thing, it's just a taste thing. We seem to get more older Anthrax fans, so they're more for the Belladonna side. Bush, but they don't boo. Some will just go, oh, Bush, I'll need to listen to that album, or you could have cut the Bush down, but everybody likes a bit of Bush, as they say.
But as a musician yourself, because obviously, vocally, yes, the Belladonna years and the Bush years are very different, and Bush could very easily pull off, a lot of the Belladonna songs, just as I'm sure Joey could, because I know when they did the Big Four, they did only with Belladonna singing. So, it's obvious that he could sing those songs if he wanted to. But for you as a musician who's out there, playing Anthrax, as close to, Anthrax as it gets, do you as a musician have a preferred era, the Belladonna era or the Bush era?
I think both eras are good. Also, the Belladonna era there's literally three Belladonna eras. You've got the original, you've got Neil Turbin, you've got Belladonna, then you've got John Bush, then you've got the reunited era, and then you've got Bush again. Then you had some they call Dan Nielsen.
That's when you tune the guitars, right?
With Bush mostly, it's they actually started to use more down tuning and playing in D sharp. In the Belladonna era, the later era, the third era, which is worship music, there's mostly the record and the live preference, which is D sharp or drop C sharp. But in Persistence of Time, Keep It in the Family was the first foray into a different tuning. That's in drop C sharp. And I like all eras because as a musician, they're fun to play. If you look back, a lot of people, Anthrax sold out, they're not as thrash, but if you look at the metal scene at the time, even Metallica, they went to load. Now, load and reload, you could got a couple of good tunes. They're not outside, just this is what they were doing and what they were writing. But if you look at Anthrax during the time, they still kept their ferocity, they still kept their heaviness. It was just more melodic, and that would probably be the influence for like Pantera at the time. Then you had Cold Chamber, Slipknot coming out. So they were up against it, but a lot of people still regard at that time Anthrax as a thrash band. Now, 20 years later, a lot of people are going back to the Bush stuff. Apart from Sound of White Noise, everybody liked that when it came out. That was a phenomenal album. People are going back and saying, actually, Stomp 442 is good. Volume 8, apart from one or two songs, is good. Mm-hmm. So I think at the time, the thrashers were like, no, But at the time, the new metalers and Slipknot, fans, Cold Chamber, Papa Roach, they're like, no, they're thrash. What they then jumping in there? Well, technical metal should cover everything. I think out the big four is we've all had a discussion on this before. Out of all the debut albums for the big four, I think Anthrax is probably the best produced one. And even though it's not that good produced, but out of the four, it's not got a lot of the reverb and what Slayer has, but it's got the reverb. You can probably still hear Tom Araya scream at the end of that song. But again, and when they come through, the live shows are phenomenal, and I think they're really underrated in that aspect. Metallica give good shows, Megadeth, they all do, but I think with Anthrax, I think the swing and change was too much for the old school, and the new school were like, nah, you are trying to fit in with us. That's the way I would see it. But when people are going back to these albums, as now, We Come For You All, when they brought that out, people were like, oh, this is a good album. And it's literally the same formula as they'd done with Stomp 442 and Volume 8. Just unfortunately, Volume 8, the record company, was basically redundant. They lost money. There was a change of guard at Elektra, I believe, for Sound of White Noise to Stomp 442. And I've been watching the wee webisodes as they've been doing it. And Charlie Benante said they were actually told as they were doing the listening for the execs, we don't look, the new head of A&R turned around and go, we don't like this. And they said, we just kind of felt a bit kind of, oh, right, we've just done this new record for you and you're just telling us basically it wasn't promoted as much. But the fan base kept them touring, still toured. But at the time, as I said, I think the swing was too big for a lot of metal fans. Now, as a musician, I enjoy playing anything. They've got cracking grooves in some of them and good thrashy songs in others. And it's, you can't say the eras are both the same. They're different styles of songwriting, different styles of singing. Joey could sing John Bush easily, but I don't think he would, because he's more of a, it's what they would call a singer, because Anthrax, they never had them just shouting in any of their albums till really Bush came. Bush had that more gruffness, while Joey Belladonna was a more kind of operatic singer, like David Coverdale or Robert Plant can hit the high notes. Brilliant.
And as you're tackling, the different eras, as a guitarist, when you think about it, it's not just at that point, Belladonna-era, Bush era. It's, it's the Dan Spitz era. It's the Rob Caggiano era. There is that, spot where it was either Paul Crook or Dimebag Darrell. Now you got John Donay era songs that you have to tackle. So as a guitarist, when you're dealing with, 4 or 5 different guitar styles, do you find you have to approach those songs differently based on the era and who is playing lead at the time?
That's a good one. My brother who does rhythm, that will be the same, because Scott Ian's been a constant. My case, staying the lead is absolutely Paul Crook. I would say would be behind Dan Spitz. I would put Dan Spitz there and Rob and Paul Crook there, because some of Paul Crook's stuff is brilliant, and he doesn't even do a lot of solos. And Rob Caggiano and Jonathan Donassi is basically the same as well, and it's all techniques. I don't do them note for note, because some of them are just really hard. I probably understand why there's no rush for Anthrax tribute bands, but I try keep, as Jonathan Donassi once said, I try to put my own spin on the solos, but keep the markers where people are familiar with the solos and just improvise. The same way Rob Caggiano done that. And they're all phenomenal guitar players, and the styles fit the songs. So it doesn't matter what era we play. Whoever plays in that era, the style fits the songs. So we just go with that. We don't change it. We don't try no change it. If then, it's only probably me that may put in a few notes. If I can't hit, I'll substitute it for something else. But you would be able to tell who played the solo.
When you think that, Anthrax just finished celebrating their 40th anniversary, do you find that, kind of the celebration around Anthrax also bled over to you guys as well, in the hope that, as soon as Scotland gets live music again, we've got to celebrate the 40th anniversary as much as we can, knowing that, the North American bands can't tour over to Europe just yet?
Yes, we do Trillions, when we're playing next week, we're doing a 40th anniversary show. We're doing it with our good friends in Live Undead, which is a Slayer tribute band, and we played with them at V4, so we're doing a few gigs with them, both Slayer and Anthrax 40th anniversary, and a lot of people are loving it. It's a bank holiday over here next weekend, so it's going to be absolutely packed out. And we always put up, when we do it, we don't tell anybody like a set list, but we will say we'll be doing Turbine, Belladonna and Bush era music, and people like it. But it seems to be there's more people as in America that look at our set list and go, "Oh, brilliant, you played this Bush number and that Bush number." And then when we play it out here, they go, too much Bush. We'd only need to do one. You're like, you can't win them all. But the 40th anniversary, it does, after Fest, which we had a lot of likes and people coming on and sharing video clips and saying, brilliant, walking about, had a few people come up to us saying, thought we were one of the better bands of the day, so that gives us a wee smile. And with COVID, we can probably extend this 40th anniversary for another year and a half. They're coming over in September next year, so we've all got our tickets to go and see that, so it should be fun.
Now, when you're doing a more of a festival set, of course you're dealing with a shorter, more confined or constricted set list. But when you're doing a headlining show, or if it's just you guys, playing a gig, how deep a cut do you like to sneak in there? Obviously, people are going to want to hear Madhouse. They're going to want to hear I Am the Law. They're going to want to hear AIR. How deep a cut do you try and get away with every now and then?
Oh, as I said, we played Piss and Vinegar, and it was the funniest thing ever. We had one clap out of 600 people, and we heard this clap. My brother turned around and just went, "No, not again." And then when we put the set list up, we had people in America saying, "Oh, brilliant, you done that." And I wish you were there, that'd be 2 claps. But we've done Safe Home, we've done Taking the Music Back, which I don't think they've played much live. What Doesn't Die, Fueled, Room for One More, Pottersfield Only, we're going to be doing Panic. I think we're keeping that for the V4 next year. We're also going to be doing Death Rider, a gig coming up soon. So we know all the favourites, even there's some deep cuts on the Belladonna side that we want to do. I think we want to do Lone Justice at one point, but they're starting to do that. So again, we're looking back in, what can we do? Another option is Belly the Beast, with Intro to Reality. So there's deep cuts for Belladonna, but as I say, we've got to keep all the favourites in, Madhouse, AIR. And the only bad thing is, I think we should just start doing the Among the Living album and then just a set of all the others. Because if you look at a list, there's like 4 or 5 for Among the Living, and you can't cut any of them out, because you go, "Oh, we cut that out, they're going to wonder why we don't do it." As we played Fest, which our set was over an hour, we're like, right, we'll cut Medusa out, so it's crammed. And we got on stage and we finished playing the first song, just about to go into Madhouse, and somebody shouts, "Medusa!" And the singer just went, "Oh, no, just wait, we'll play what we play." Same way we've done a gig 3 years ago, and we left out Antisocial, and for the whole gig they were shouting Antisocial. You're just like, you just can't win. So we try, when it's not a festival set is to keep the crowd happy. There's no point trying to do like deep cuts, because you will get people going, well, you get non-Anthrax fans, they will have heard of Madhouse, I'm the Law. We've got to do Gung Ho, which we're going to leave as our last one because it knackers our drummer.
We play this song, that's it. You're not getting a single song after that. But when you are dealing with any kind of cover, whether you're a tribute band or a cover band, or even a signed original band that's bringing a cover to the set list kind of thing, you have to go through that stage where you take the song and you deconstruct it, and along the way you actually find out different parts about the song that you maybe didn't hear as a listener. So as you've been going through the Anthrax discography, picking out songs for the set list, deconstructing them, and working them for your instrumentation as the band, have you learned anything more about Anthrax as songwriters that you didn't really realize when you were just listening to them?
Yes, we know that Scott Ian likes to make the most simplest song. He could write a song 4 beats bar and then he'll go, oh, that could do with a middle 8, and that middle 8 could be the most technical bloody riff in the whole song. You're just like, oh. But the songwriting, again, most of it comes from Charlie Benante, which I think most Anthrax fans are just starting to find out how talented Benante is, because we've always thought Scott Ian and Dan Spitz were a guitar player. Now it's coming at Charlie Benante, so some of these riffs that are coming out, it's actually Charlie that's doing them. But the structure, every album's had a different kind of structure to it. The way they've done the riffs and what I do like is the wee bits you can't hear, like Pottersfield, where it does 4/4 and F sharp. But if you listen, there's like a quick triplet, and if you don't know it's there, it can just go over your head. It's wee things like that. It's actually quite clever. It's a way of breaking up a simple riff just to get a wee bit more. And it's still learning. We've not learned every Anthrax song, and when I listen to Anthrax, it's not like a fan where I just put it on and enjoy songs, because this could be the next song we need to learn. So I'll sit there and shut my eyes and try listen to how it sounds. It's some of them are quite intricate, while others are rather quite straightforward. Now,
a little bit of self-promotion here is that I'm going to be appearing on the podcast Playlist Wars, talking about Anthrax and picking a top 10 songs. But at least as far as my personal preference as far as Anthrax songs. But now that we've got you on the show here, someone who actually plays Anthrax live on stage, I'm going to put it to you. If you had to pick 5 Anthrax songs that to you are like the pinnacle of, the best of, so you got control of the set list, you're picking the 5 songs that get played, doesn't matter what the crowd wants, doesn't matter what the rest of the band wants, you get to pick those 5 songs. Which 5 Anthrax songs are you playing that night?
Okay, 5 songs, and not any particular order, just off my head. 1,000 Points of Hate, just for the sheer fact that it's so fun to play. That's off Sound of White Noise. Off Persistence, I would go for Time. Just awesome song, how it kicks in. I'll say Among the Living. I can't do it. It's a bit of a toss-up between I'm a Law, maybe NFL. I would pick one from so many albums though. You've got me here. Panic for the first album. Again, a fun song and just brilliant to play. And I would actually go for Finale or State of Euphoria. Brilliant song.
You're listening to the Major Mixtape podcast. My guest today, Allan McGlynn from Arranthrax, the Scotland's only Anthrax tribute band. We're going to step away for 2 seconds, and when we come back, we're going to learn a little bit more about Allan.
Tired of get-rich-quick podcasts?
I know I am.
That's why we've developed a proprietary Get Poor Slow program. Listen to our podcast, find out how.
If you can trade it, we've lost on it.
Come check out our podcast, learn from our mistakes.
2 Bowls in a China Shop. You can find us at twobowlsinachinashop.com or wherever podcasts are given away?
It's practically free.
Welcome back to Major Mixtape. We're talking with Allan McGlynn from Arranthrax, Scotland's only Anthrax tribute band. Now, Allan, what was it initially that made you want to pick up the guitar and start playing?
To be honest, my brother picked up the guitar before I did. He's 4 years younger than me. And I thought, bugger that, I've got to do it. But me and Martin joined a band. We'd done Metallica covers, Sepultura covers, Sawyer covers, Discharge covers, and we tried writing our own songs with a couple. We were in a band. We met Paul, who's a current drummer, and Anthrax as well, and then we split and went into different bands. And then as it goes on, I ended up being in a band 1997, and I started putting gigs on. Then I managed my cousin for a good few years. Then I fell away from that, went back into a bit of promoting, and then a few years ago my brother phoned me up and asked me if we want to do this. I went, I saw my brother learn it, and I thought, well, I can do that as well. We can get together and jam. I think the first songs I learned to play was either Enter Sandman or Pearl Jam Alive. I think that was one of the first ones. I was a late starter. I wasn't like 7 or 9. I was more like 14, 15. Quite a late starter when it comes to it.
Well, when it comes to, like obviously, as you mentioned, like those first songs and whatnot kind of thing, who was it? As a guitarist, I mean, obviously aside from your brother, who was it that influenced your guitar style, the way you play?
The way I play, I'd probably, there's a couple of guitar players, but the one that stands out is Hendrix. Phenomenal guitar player. Just what he could do with a fuzz pedal and a bit of feedback was just unbelievable. And also he could play ballads like nothing else. Little Wing's just a cracking example. He's playing When Craig Mary, Angel. You're just unbelievable. When you watch him, you just know how special he was. Then after that, you'd Clapton copying him with the frizzy hair, and you're just like, doesn't look good.
One of the things that's always fascinated me is that, living here in Canada, and so I'm kind of speaking as far as a North American generality here, is that, yes, we've got a lot of bands here. We've got a lot of phenomenal, hard rock, heavy metal bands, but they don't seem to get the proper attention that they deserve, at least on this side of the ocean. Across the Atlantic and in Europe, it's widely accepted. It always seemed to me that Europe was always way more accepting of North American metal than North America was. So is that the case? And what is it about, European, for lack of a better term, European musical sensibilities that we're just not getting over here?
I don't really know. I've thought about that myself. I think one of the reasons, the problem that a lot of up-and-coming bands have in Glasgow, and I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen many bands that are talented and brilliant, wrote their own songs, and they just fade out because nobody comes to their gigs, they don't get the support slots, they don't get the lucky breaks. But promoters will be more than happy to bring bands overseas. So it's a kind of, we're not kind of supporting our own bands, but there's this, like Kings of Leon's the best example. They were virtually unknown and they toured America, and they came out here just as their first album release. Was it Youth? I can't remember the name. The band had Molly Chambers on it. They came out here and everybody lapped them up. So it could be it's just more old dated rock and roll that the fans like over here, but they just went absolutely nuts for Kings of Leon. And it took them to their second album before Americans and Canadians like itself went, oh, maybe we should give this band. Well, it's actually been known to happen as homegrown bands in Scotland, England and Wales. It's a long journey. Like Biffy Clyro, they were playing toilets right up to the fourth, fifth album. With toilets, we mean like dive bars. They'd play everywhere. They were relentless. I would say they paid their dues more. And they were signed to Vertigo label. So it wasn't like a small label they were on. Right up to Infinity Sadness, I think they played. It was like 200-300. Then they brought out Puzzle and they just shot up. And again, that was probably because in America they were getting more, but over here they were doing good. They were playing Touch, Barrowlands, but it should have been bigger earlier. They just played everywhere. The toilets is what we call it. Crappy venues as toilets, and they just paid their dues and they kept on and on. But I think it's a case of if they go to America and they like them, they'll go, oh, and they'll do well in America. I know another band recently, the Ronanes, and they went to America unknown, and they managed to play 5 gigs, New York, all over the Midwest, and they were playing like 200 to 300 people, and they all took to them. But out here, they worked hard for years to get up to where they are. So I think it's a bit of something new. It's no local. I know they always say support your local bands because your big bands will always at one point have played your local pub, but they're always excited to hear what the next American band is. Same way Killers made it massively out here, probably at the same time as they were breaking through America, but they come from America. So it's just, it's a hard one to judge because, as I said, and I'm sure in Canada, there's been a lot of bands that's been on the circuit for 10 years. They've not got anywhere. They've got all their own songs, and they're just, people are not really interested going out supporting them. But if they see an out-of-town band, they'll go, oh, we'll need to get tickets for that and see what they're all about. It should be the other way about, but it's...
there's one band that I can think of, from Canada. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, Harum Scarum. And, they've been around for like at least, I'm doing the math here, about like 30 years or so, and then to see them play here, it's like, okay, they're playing a good club and whatnot. It's a decent turnout. They're huge in Japan. I remember trying to find their albums here, and it's like, okay, they're from like down the road and it's an import. I don't understand, but I mean, it's just so long as the band is being heard. But you touched on it earlier, STG Promotions. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
STG Promotions was something I started 9 years ago. STGs just stands for St. Gerard's, which is my secondary school. St. G's, that's what we used to call it. And before that, I used to have a promotion company called OSG years before that, and I met a guy I went to school with, and he was wanting to put one gig on. I said, one gig? He said, I know you've done it. And I went, right. And it was a band called Happy Martyr, which had Boz Boorer, who's Morrissey's guitar player and songwriter, and he was also in the Polecats, had a big hit with David Bowie song, John, I'm Only Dancing, but kind of hillbilly version. Nice guy. So they did like an acoustic rap thing, and they wanted to play up in Glasgow. So I'll help you. So we went to a pub, we drew a list of dates, and by the end of like 90 minutes and a few pints of Guinness, I had like a year's worth of gigs booked. I was like, oh God. We got some people that's no played in a while, like Martin Metcalf, Goodbye Mr. Mackenzie. It's now in the Filthy Tongues. You might know Goodbye Mr. Mackenzie for Shirley Manson used to be in it before she went to Garbage. So I put on gigs there, put on gigs for Space, Ian McNabb for the Ice Cold Works, mostly people that are known over here. And again, enjoyed it. It's now that I'm now in Arranthrax, I'm on the other side of it, so I'm going away for the promotion thing, going back into playing live. So I've only got a couple of gigs the next year, and that's me calling it a day. But it was fun when it lasted.
Now, when you were doing promotions and whatnot, how much did it help? to put on a show. The fact that you are a musician, the fact that you yourself has played shows, how did that help you when you were promoting shows? And did the artists that were playing those gigs, did they appreciate the fact that you've been there, you've been on stage, so you know exactly what they need and what they're going through each show?
The bands that I put on weren't about when I was playing, so it's just something I wouldn't speak to them. But obviously, what helps would be the way of promoting a show. When I was in a band, you'd have to promote it yourself, so it just helps with social media, the internet, and doing your poster run around the city centre, which is just a nightmare. It helps, and what's good is at the end of the day, you still get the same feeling as a promoter as you would with a musician. If you go half full to a full venue, people come to see, and it makes it easier. The bands are helpful as well. I've had a few bands which have just been absolute nightmares, and I've had bands that have been really helpful. So again, long as I broke even, everybody got paid, that was a good night. But we've had some nights where it's been overly busy and it's been brilliant. We even done a food show where the entry to the gig was a donation of food. So it was a singer called David Ford. It was really big in America. I'm not sure if he's played Canada. Used to be in a band called Easy. Oh, I can't remember. It's bad. David Ford, he came up play. I told him the thing, so I wasn't expecting him. We had a queue of 100 people, all with like 2 bags of food coming in, and one guy turned up and goes, "Can I donate money as well?" I was like, "You just brought in a donation of food." He goes, "But I'd like to donate money." And I went, "Wait, I've got a tin, taped it up." So we also got a full donation tin, and there was a wee kind of place just down the road from the venue that helps homeless people, feeds them toothpaste, anything they want. Quite a nice place, been there since 1932. And I went down during the gig and I went, "Do you have a car?" They went, "Yes." I went, "Well, we've got a load of food here if you need it." So we're doing a food bank gig. So they came up, filled the car 3 times, and just gave them a tin, and they were happy with it. So I would like to have done another one of them, but obviously with COVID, this just kind of went out the window.
As restrictions, start to ease off even more, hopefully more vaccines in the arms, a little sense of normality. Is there a plan for Arranthrax to, not just play locally, but to hopefully get on the road and to tour the UK?
We do a couple of gigs outside Scotland. We've played Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Glasgow. We've done Newcastle. We've done fest weeks in Manchester. So next year we've got a couple of gigs we're looking to do. Obviously, we've all got full-time jobs. The singer Scott has boys training to be an Olympic swimmer, which is good. So be fair, we do gigs, but it's not going to be something like 8 days in a row or 7 days. So once a month, twice a month in the summer with the festivals, and that seems to be enough. People are not getting sick of seeing you and turning up all the time, which even though you're in a tribute band, it's still the same way as if a band is constantly playing in Glasgow every week. You'll start off with 70 people coming to see you. Next week it'll go to 55 and it'll go down and down because they've seen you. Now if you went 1 month, then 9-10 months later you come back, you'd roughly get the same amount of crowds. So we tend to play everywhere once a year. With Glasgow, we're doing the V4 and we'll actually support a couple of touring supports and just concentrate playing outside Glasgow. So it's fun that we've got a couple hopefully next year, one in Leicester and one in Leeds, which is places we've never played. So we're looking forward to those.
One of the things I always find interesting is to delve into those early musical influences, and we talked a little bit about that earlier, but I always find it interesting to find out what the first album someone bought is. So do you remember the first time with your own money, not just as, here, Merry Christmas, here's a CD, with your own money, went to a record store, bought an album for yourself? Do you remember the first time?
I remember the first time, but I can't remember what I got. Let me guess. If you're saying the first ever, I wouldn't say albums, the first ever record I bought, this is embarrassing. I was maybe 8 or 9, and there was like a pop song with a woman called Sabrina called Boys, Boys, Boys. And I bought a 7-inch because it was just literally her in the front for the chest up in a wet bathing suit. So being a wee 8-year-old, I was like, ooh, I'll get that. It's most embarrassing. After that, I think the first album I bought, it would have been Beatles' Rubber Soul.
Okay. But which leads us to, of course, the big question of the podcast. So if you, Allan, had to introduce yourself to a total stranger, but instead of saying, hi, I'm Allan, I play Anthrax, you hand them a mixtape, and on that tape are songs that tell the story of you. What songs are on that tape, and why are those songs there?
Okay, the first song, I would say, I've been thinking about this for all week, would be a song called In a Big Country by Big Country. It's a Scottish band, Stuart Adamson, who was in the Scottish punk band The Skids. They had the Saints Are Coming and Into the Valley. After the Skids, they done Big Country, and I would say that because also where I come from, it's a song about Scotland, and it's just a phenomenal song, especially live.
It's an absolute banger, yeah.
A brilliant song. The next one, I may be cheating a bit. I'm a massive Beatles fan, big Beatles fan, even the early stuff. If I pick a song, I'd be cheating and say the whole melody and the second side of Abbey Road. The fact is, Abbey Road's my favourite Beatles album, but the musicianship through all these songs is a bit of everything, and but it says about me. I like a bit of everything. I'm not very one-sided. I'm not rock. I'm not metal. I like everything. Spread my horizons. So the Beatles melody in Abbey Road would be my second one. Also, I would throw in an Anthrax song there. And again, I would probably pick, I love Finale, but probably have to pick something a bit more upbeat or more well-known. So I would probably put in Madhouse for that. And what songs? I used to be a big reader when I was a boy. I used to enter all these, we had libraries. You used to go in the summer, they give you a book, you go away, read the book, then you answer questions and you get another one. It was competition. And I just used to love listening to Beethoven, Sonata 14, in the moonlight, just a relaxing song. And I still listen to it, especially when I'm going on the bus to work at 4:30 in the morning.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot here, because I think about when bands are preparing songs to play live. It's one thing to sit there and say, okay, this song's will go over great live kind of thing, but to then to sit there, deconstruct it, learn it, the whole works, right? Sometimes you get there and go, yeah, this is just, this song is just a little too much. So is there any song in the Anthrax discography that you guys listened to, said, oh, we'd love to play this live, but it has bested us? This song is just, maybe too hard to play?
We've still to try it. Keep It the Family. We've tried to do that, and we're just slightly getting it off. But again, it just comes down to practice. But Keep It the Family, it's one we want to put in the set list, but we're still jogging through it, so to say. So that one, usually we could nail most of the song without the solos. The most rhythm bits we could usually nail one rehearsal. But Keep It Family, we've been doing bits and drabs in between just to build up. It's just, again, it comes to when you learn something about songwriting, the intricate, the rhythm playing on that is brilliant, but also annoying.
Okay, so for anyone who's sitting there listening to this and thinking of starting up their own tribute band, it doesn't matter if it's Anthrax or any other band that they're thinking of. For someone who's thinking of starting up their own tribute band, what advice would you give to them?
Ensure it's a band that you like, because at the end of the day, you've got to have fun. You do get some bands that treat it as a business, but these bands have been going for 30 years. And when you ask them, how do you start out? And it was just, it was fun. It's all it starts out as fun. Make sure it's a band you enjoy listening to. If you enjoy listening to it, you can play it. Also helps if there will be people that would go and see it. I say I love, for instance, Biohazard. Love them, but I don't hear many people saying I'd go and see a Biohazard tribute band. So it's always handy to know if that is an audience, or if there's people interested in putting you on. Have fun, don't take it seriously.
All right, Allan, thank you so much for this. Where can we find Arranthrax on the internet? Where can we find you? And what shows have you got lined up?
The shows we've got lined up is next Saturday. We have one in Newcastle, Trillions, with Slayer Live Undead tribute in the UK. And after that, our next one is the 13th of November. We're supporting Hellbent Forever, which is a Judas Priest tribute band in Glasgow. And they've been going about for a good few years, cracking band. Then after that, 2 weeks later, we're doing a co-headline with the Slayer and Live Boys again in Edinburgh. And then that's us off until March next year for the B4 in Glasgow. We've even got our own website, which is www.arranthrax.com, and we're on Facebook. Just type in Anthrax and we'll pop up.
One more question here before we go. John Bush has recently come out and started talking about the idea of, getting something together and going out and doing a small tour of just Bush era Anthrax. Mm-hmm. Hypothetically speaking, John Bush calls you guys and says, I want you to back me to do a Bush era tour. How fast are you on the plane?
I don't think you would get to the end of the word back. We've actually talked about this hypothetically as well. What I did in our first year being an Anthrax tribute band, it was our drummer's bass player, singer, and my brother's birthday, and I got him a cameo which for each of the bands, and they were quite good. Joey just went off and talked about his Journey tribute band, and that was quite fun. But Charlie Bennett was quite funny, and he turned around and tongue-in-cheek said, we'll see you out on the road and we'll maybe play together on that. Tongue-in-cheek, and our drummer just got it and he said that will happen. You're like, calm down, Paul. But hypothetically, if that ever came a case off, we'd probably bite the hand off. It'd just be so much fun.
All right, Allan, thanks so much for this. And to our listeners, thank you for listening to this edition of the Major Mixtape podcast. If you're listening to us on an audio streaming service, you can go over to YouTube and watch this entire interview. However, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, you can head on over to any audio streaming service, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music, Good Pods, wherever you get your podcasts from. Download and listen to it on the go. This has been Major Mixtape. I'm your host, Jason. We'll catch you next time. Take care.